John Eustace has completed his pre-match press conference as Derby County prepare to face up against Coventry City, where they will face former manager Frank Lampard. And John Eustace has had a fair bit to say in regards to that of Lewis Travis, the transfer window, and also the young players that have been with the squad. There's also an update on the likes of Rhian Brewster and Owen Beck, and also a big shout out to the medical team from John Eustace. Now, obviously, as we head into this game, it's really important to make sure that everybody stays fit. And although there is a lot of tired bodies in the squad from Tuesday night's fixture, it's important that Derby County continue to move forward and get themselves in a good position and have all of these injured players and things like that coming back. Now, obviously, if we want to start off within this John Eustace press conference, his first major talking point was in regards to that draw for the EFL Cup last night, of which Derby County were drawn against Premier League side Burnley, where it's going to be, in John Eustace's words, a great opportunity for minutes. We do want to win, but we have to be competitive. Now, we're going to get into that and much more in this video. So if you have not done so already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, but let's get into it. Now, obviously, if you weren't with me live on stream last night, we did go through the cup draw on stream, and obviously there was a few bets made by people in my comment section, and obviously some of you will know I wanted Manchester United, Doncaster Rovers, but ultimately we ended up with Burnley. Now, obviously last season Derby County picked up two brilliant draws against Burnley, away from home and at home, and really should have won the game at home. And John Eustace is seeing this opportunity as one where more of those players who aren't quite match fit could go in and get some minutes. Now, John Eustace was eager to point out, though, that he wants to win and we need to be competitive. But it's important that those players who haven't quite had a pre-season, who are on the fringes of the squad, get the opportunity to get the minutes. Otherwise, they're never going to be ready to play. And I think it's really important that John Eustace is looking at it this way. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted a Manchester United or a Doncaster Rovers, because you play Manchester United, you can play a second string side. You play a Doncaster Rovers, you can play a second string side. Don't get me wrong, if you played United, you'd probably have more first team bodies within it, but ultimately it is a great opportunity to give those bodies the opportunity. Obviously, if you didn't see midweek, we made a whole host of changes. Vickers played, Sanderson, Rooney, Fozzie played at centre half, Elder played, Ozo got some minutes in the legs. We saw Bobby Clark, Vyman, Dejon Brown, even Joe Ward got onto the pitch as well, which was massively important to see. And obviously, coming back from that game, John Eustace was asked his thoughts on the mood within the camp and things like that. And John Eustace was eager to point out that the mood in the camp is great at the moment, and there is a great attitude from the players, and the desire there is great. And he can see that the commitment is there from everybody. And once that everybody's fit, there's going to be huge competition for places. And that is obviously the most important thing for Derby County. Now, he was eager to point out that there is a lot of tired bodies within the group after that grueling 90 minutes against West Brom, where obviously West Brom had a much better squad than Derby County did, but we did so well to get that 3 points. And he said that it's brilliant to be back at home after two really tough away games against two squads in completely different situations for Derby County. And the most important thing is making sure that all those players that are tired, that have the aches and pains, are coming back and are going to be sort of fit, firing and ready to go on Saturday if they are called upon. Now, obviously, they're expecting a big turnout this Saturday at Pride Park Stadium, and obviously the players and the coaching staff are massively looking forward to that. Now, John Eustace was eager to point out Coventry's situation. Obviously, a very difficult side with a great squad and a great bunch of staff. They've obviously spent a fair bit of money across the course of the last few years, which has put them in this position where they're consistently sort of touted for those playoff positions and consistently touted to be right up there in with the scrap. And John Eustace was eager to draw parallels between the Coventry City circumstances of the last few years and where Derby County find ourselves now. It's taken Coventry 3 or 4 years to get themselves in a position where the squad can consistently compete and is very good at this level. And they've not done it by overspending. They've not done it by breaking rules. They've done it very well. Obviously, starting off with Mark Robbins now being led by former Derby County manager Frank Lampard. And it's going to be competitive. It's going to be an important game. And this is exactly what John Eustace wants to do. He wants to copy essentially the Coventry model, where you take your time, you build the squad correctly, and you move from there. Now, obviously, the most important thing with this is John Eustace was asked a question in regards to Coventry City. Obviously, he spent 7 years there. I believe he was the captain there at one point as well. And he said that it is a club close to his heart due to the history that he has there. But hopefully on Saturday, Derby County will come out on top. John Eustace didn't say that. That comes from me. Now, John Eustace was asked a question about the new signings who are starting to get back on the grass and things like that after some injuries and things like that. And he was saying that he is excited to see those new signings on the grass and they are starting to build fitness. But he didn't want to take the shine away from the current crop who are doing the job at the moment, and obviously picked up a great result on Tuesday. Was unfortunate not to pick up a result on Saturday either, up against Stoke City, but that will sort of change. Now, he was eager to heap praise on the likes of Joe Ward, the likes of Jake Rooney, Dion Sanderson, players like that who hadn't played a lot of minutes over the course of the last 12 to 18 months. And he said that for a long time they haven't played games, and they fought through really well on Tuesday night, and it's a massive praise to the medical staff as well to make sure that they're back fit and firing and able to go essentially. And he said that for them Tuesday was like a mini pre-season game for them, which is what we discussed across the course of my watch along, and we discussed it a little bit last night as well on my live stream, because it has been sort of that occasion where you give a player like Joe Ward 90 minutes, that's like a pre-season game. Bobby Clark, players like that getting the opportunity to play a competitive fixture, and it's at a completely different level and standard to that of obviously a pre-season game, so it's a great opportunity for them. And what John Eustace was eager to point out is that with the squad that he has available, competition is rife, but when these new players get their fitness levels and are available to start, the competition for places is just going to go up tenfold. All that these players need to sort of do now at this moment is improve their sharpness, and that is what they're trying to do. We've given them minutes off the bench, obviously, in the game on Tuesday as well, and obviously it'll probably be a similar situation heading into that tie against Burnley in a couple of weeks' time. Now, obviously, as you will all well know, Derby County have had an active interest in Lewis Travis across the course of the last few months, with 2 bids being rejected so far this summer. A £1.5 million bid being rejected just before the EFL Cup tie on Tuesday, but John Eustace was asked a question about it, and Eustace was basically gave your standard management answer. He doesn't want to comment on Travis because he's not our player, he's contracted to another club, and he says we've made moves for a range of different players but won't mention anything until those moves happen. If they don't happen, nothing will be said. Now, he was then asked about if he enjoyed working with Lewis Travis and things like that, obviously with him being captain, and Eustace sort of turned around and said he loved working with the group at Blackburn, but his focus is on what we have in the building, and until that changes, that is the way it is going to be. Training and attitude has been great so far, and he thinks that with the current group, even with no more signings, that we will grow and be fairly okay this season. He was then asked a question in regards to pre-season and those academy players who had been around the squad, obviously with the likes of Lennon Wilden, Jake Rooney and Dejan Brown getting a game in midweek. It was a big question from many fans and obviously the journalists as well, and John Eustace was eager to point out that across the course of pre-season they had 13 academy players with the first team for the entirety of pre-season, the whole 6-week period, and the ones that have really impressed him is the likes of Lennon Wilden, Charles Abuka, Isaac Gordon, Freddie Turley. I believe he mentioned Rio Canaville as well, and obviously Dejan Brown, who was a first team player last season but can still sort of be within that sort of package of academy grads. And he said that they all did very well, and he gave them a great opportunity to prove themselves, and it's given him an opportunity as well to learn more about them and where they sort of see themselves across the course of maybe the next 12, 18 months, 24 months, and how they could potentially fit into his current Derby County squad. He was pleased with all the academy players that have been with the group, and he wanted to give a big shout out to the likes of Dejan Brown, the likes of Lennon Wilden, who did very well on Tuesday but are still both sort of finding their fitness. Lennon Wilden came really close to scoring a goal in the second half. I think it was a header which went just wide of the post, if I remember rightly. And unfortunately, that is just one of those learning moments for Lenny where he will eventually figure out where he needs to be. Now, he was he felt it was important to put out the same claim that he always has done since being Derby County manager, that it's important that we stick together, obviously the first team, academy, staff, fans, as the squad starts to build and everybody starts to get back their fitness levels and things like that. And obviously I agree, you probably agree as well, but it's important everybody sticks together. And he was keen to point out that if you look at the squads from West Brom to Derby, Stoke to Derby as well, they obviously are in much better positions than we are in this current moment. Now, that's not to say that in a few weeks Derby County won't have squads on par, but right now we're in a difficult position, and those teams have many opportunities to give to players of very, very high calibre. But we're going to have to wait and see how that sort of progresses over the course of the next few weeks. And then he was asked a question about what he wants over the course of the final few weeks of the transfer window, where his claim was that he's aiming for 2 to 3 brand new signings to help with the group, but it is not essential, and he's happy with what he has at the moment if those deals do not get done. Now, obviously, you can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you have not done so already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. We will be back tomorrow with a full injury update for all the players that are out and those who may have joined or left the list heading into Saturday's fixture. But you can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one.